Fellow neighbors that make up North Meadow Village, we all know we are living in very weird and difficult times. Well, unless you were playing a board game and you got sucked into a jungle, and you were released 26 years later. But that rarely ever happens. Amidst this pandemic, we have all had to quarantine, wear masks, and socially distance. Just yesterday I was playing soccer with my brother in the street. My brother, with his great aim, sent the ball flying into the backyard. We know we live in a trailer park, so we don't have any fences. Our backyard is the maintenance guy's front yard. When I was running after the ball, I felt something squishy under my shoe. We recently had neighbors move into the house next door, who have a dog that looks more like a big rat. I realized I had just stepped in dog poop. I was glad that none of it got on the ball, and I wiped my shoe off in the grass, and I went back to playing with my brother. When we came back into the house, after the mosquitoes had the biggest feast in their lives, I found myself thinking about my stinky new neighbors. It was so curious that one small problem had me thinking about a global skill issue that affects every single one of us. We have become so anxious about ourselves during these trying times that we forget about others. That is why I have called you here today, so that together we may stop on the causes, wipe off the effects, and clean up with some solutions to this issue. The stinky truth is, it isn't just my neighbors who are the only ones thinking about themselves. We can see people running around without masks at the grocery store because they are uncomfortable, getting into fistfights over Clorox wipes, and crying because they just want to eat inside Chuck E. Cheese. I believe this selfishness is happening for two main reasons. The leading cause is fear. Fear that we won't be able to take care of ourselves or fend for ourselves. In an article written by CNN on March 9th, 2020, Stephen Taylor, a clinical psychologist, says, "The novel coronavirus scares people because it's new. And there's a lot about it that's still unknown. When people hear conflicting messages about the dangers it poses and how seriously they should prepare for them, they tend to resort to the extreme." An article written by the Huffington Post on May 21st, 2020, Kimberly Johnson, an assistant professor of clinical health counseling in New York, says, "The early optimism and community support begins to erode as the mind and body struggle to keep up with the persistent stress and sense of being out of control. We can see that anxiety can be a segue into fear, and that fear often causes us to act irrationally and in ways we otherwise might not have acted. The second cause is confusion over whether putting yourself first is selfish or smart. India Times wrote an article on June 19th, 2020. It points out that we are stressed, resources are scarce, and that on some level, people are acting selfish just to survive. If one of our neighbors were to run out of animal crackers, and they went to the store to get some, and the person next to them gets the last bag, our neighbor would probably view them as selfish. But we don't know the situation of the people around us. All of a sudden, we go into a Gollum mode, where we want what we want, and when we get it, we don't want anyone to come near us. I wouldn't be surprised if one of these days I go to Walmart and someone says, 'My precious,' when they find a box of tissue paper. The first effect I have found is that if we don't identify with the people around us, we are less likely to be careful. This causes us to act in self-preservation rather than community preservation. An article written by Brainsway.com says, "A cultural heritage of personal freedom and individualism has seemingly contributed to stockpiling necessities, leading to shortages in basic food and hygiene items. This can be seen not only with the instance of the coronavirus, but in life in general. If we look like the Pillsbury Doughboy, or you're as slender as Jack Skellington, or you're black, white, or green, or you speak English, or you speak French or Spanish, if you have the expensive the cheap Dollar Tree earbuds, or the expensive AirPods, we will always be judged by someone. I will tell you something that in my long life I have found to be a constant. Well, besides change. Take that, Heraclitus. Not everyone likes you. You may not be fully accepted into a group, and that's okay. The only person who needs to accept you is you. But you have a duty to be courteous of everybody, not just yourself. The second effect I have found is called the fear contagion effect. Humans, being social creatures, we look to each other for what is safe and what is dangerous. Previously cited, Stephen Taylor says, when you see someone in the store panic buying, that can cause a fear contagion effect. Essentially, when people act out in fear, that causes everyone else to do the same. I remember when I went to Walmart and I saw mothers buying boxes and boxes of diapers, constructing the Eiffel Tower of diapers. I kind of panicked. I told my mom we had to get some diapers for my little sister, and she said we also had to leave some for the other people. I didn't understand why my mom was only buying a single box of diapers, when all around me, I saw people look like they were playing Tetris, trying to see where else they could fit another roll of toilet paper or another box of Pampers. Now I see that my mom was being courteous. I came up with 2 solutions to these problems. The first solution is empathy. Not sympathy, empathy. According to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, empathy is the act of understanding, being aware, and being sensitive to the thoughts, feelings, and experiences of another. In the example above, we can see someone who is empathetic says, "It's too bad these people won't be able to buy diapers for their kids," and then leaves them for the other parents to buy. Whereas someone who is sympathetic says, "It's too bad these people won't be able to buy diapers for their kids," and then they buy 7 boxes. And they don't even have kids! We need to learn to view the world through the lens of other people. We have to put our empathy glasses on and actually start caring about other people. The second solution to this issue is to follow government guidelines. During a town hall meeting in Miami, Florida, on October 5th, 2020, President-elect Joe Biden said, "I view wearing this mask not so much protecting me, but as a patriotic duty." All the tough guys say, "I'm not wearing a mask. I'm not afraid." Well, be afraid. For your husband, your wife, your son, your daughter, your neighbor, or your coworker. That's who you're protecting having this mask on, and it should be viewed as a patriotic duty to protect those around you. And while this isn't a speech about politics, I know we all want to promote the safety and well-being within our communities. Wearing a mask is not a question about protecting yourself, but protecting others. It's like double dipping in the hummus. You just don't do it because it's the right thing to do. So today we've talked about what is causing us to act in self-preservation rather than community preservation, as well as talking about some solutions, empathy, and acting in accordance with government guidelines. Thank you, North Meadow Village, for having me today. I know you guys have a lot in your hands. You have to follow up on the situation about those people who put the trash cans out on the wrong day, and taking care of that possum invasion, as well as obviously talking to my new neighbors about their crappy problem. Thank you for having me today. I know that if we work together, it will be a beautiful day in the neighborhood.